Big Questions with the Dead Milkmen. Each week while working on the new album, the Dead Milkmen ask each other a question.
Hi everybody, welcome to Big Questions. This week, it's my turn, and this week's question is, if you could only listen to 3 musical artists, bands, or composers for the rest of your life, what would they be and why? And we're going to do a little something different this week. We're going to do sort of a semi-Newlywed Game style show where after I explain what my 3 artists are, the other 3 band members are going to try and, they have predicted what I was going to say. And if they get it right, they get 5 points. And we're going to do that for each band member as we go around tonight. So let's see if we can get this going and keep it going. So.
Can we exchange these points or something?
Oh, Ronnie has a question.
Oh, first Dan has a question. Can we exchange the points for like skee-ball? That's Dan's question first. My question is, do we have to say make whoopee, like where's the strangest place you and your wife have ever made whoopee, instead of the proper term drilling for mud bunnies?
I'll let the audience decide. Okay, so my first artist I would like to talk about tonight is Brian Eno. This discography of Brian Eno, who's an English musician and musical thinker, artist. He's a visual artist. He does a lot of video type art. He has 28 solo studio albums. He has 27 collaborative studio albums. He has 14 compilation albums. He has 8 video albums, and he has 9 singles. So there's a lot of music there to listen to. And I just really find his music relaxing, interesting. I like to have it on the background when I work sometimes. I'm a fan of ambient music, and he is one of the probably inventors and best practitioners of that style and genre of music. So he's my number 1. My number 2 artist, composer, is actually Bach. He has composed over 1,000 pieces of music. And let me turn my phone off.
Silence those phones, people.
Sorry. Silence those phones on the TV show. He has some of his most famous work includes the Brandenburg Concertos, the Well-Tempered Clavier, and the Mass in B minor. And I believe he's probably one of the most recorded composers in history. So I probably have a wealth of recordings to choose from of his works. And then my third artist is a jazz saxophonist named Dexter Gordon, who has at least 90 albums as a band leader. And I just like his music. And one of the things about my 3 choices is that I would probably make a giant playlist of all the material from all 3 of these artists, and I put it on random, and I think in my mind anyway it would work as a soundtrack to the rest of my life. So there we go. So now I'm going to go to Rodney now, and Rodney, what were your guesses for my answers?
That would be the butt, Bob. Okay, I whiffed. I guessed XTC, Elvis Costello, and the last one was indie pop band. They're all pretty much the same to me. I don't know one indie pop band, so I received no points. I'm not going to get the Samsonite luggage. I want that Samsonite luggage.
All right.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to go to Joe. What were your predictions for my answers?
I also guessed XTC, so that's wrong. I did guess Brian Eno.
Hey, 5 points for
but
Joe.
I didn't
He's on
get
the board.
Bach. I got Charles Mingus. I guessed Charles Mingus instead.
You got a jazz artist, but not the right one. So Joe gets 5 points. And Dan, what were your answers for mine? Can you? Okay, XTC, Blondie,
and B-52.
All right, good choices. I like all those bands, but they weren't on my forever list. So, all right, no points for Rodney, 5 points for Joe, and no points for Dan. So Joe is in the lead with 5 points, people. All right, let's go to Rodney.
Where is the strangest place you and your wife have ever made whoopee? That would be in the Charles Mingus, Bob. All right, so I'm going to start. I'm going to go down from number 1, like Casey Kasem, number 1 on our list. Number 1, I'm starting with Killing Joke, because I thought you want somebody who has a big catalog. And Killing Joke started in 1980. And they've been going strong ever since. The last album came out in 2015. It's a big catalog. There are pretty much no clunkers. If I were to rate all their albums, the lowest I would give some of them is an 8. They're very, very good. The songs have a lot of variety to them. So, War Dance doesn't sound anything like Love Like Blood. Was it, when I pronounce this correctly, Cytherea doesn't sound anything like the song 80s. So I really, really like Killing Joke. I need, Dean was like, oh, I like to kick back and relax. I am the total opposite. I need something that fires me up and puts me in a Jazz Coleman state of mind. And he's quite an interesting guy. He once took off to Iceland and awaited the apocalypse. So I am really, really big fan of Killing Joke. In fact, the last 2 albums, which were MMXII, which is 2012, it came out in 2012. I give that a 10. And I also give their album Pylon, which came out in 2015, a 10. And for a band that started in 1980 to make albums that great within the 2010s is still amazing. So yeah, put on some Killing Joke tonight, people. It's a really great band and really out there and really interesting. Next is Caustic. And it's pretty much for the same reason. Caustic has a huge catalog and it's very, very diverse. So you have some sort of fun, funny songs like 666 on the Crucifix or White Knuckle Head Fuck, and you can laugh along with those. But he also has political albums like American Carrion, which is, and I think one of the best punk rock albums ever made. And that was made in like the 2010s. So just, a great album. He also works with a bunch of different artists that, people I would like to work with, and I can't. He has a new single out with Grab Your Face. What's the new single called? It's it's called Not Your Body. I'm Rodney Anonymous. I can't pick up the phone and call Grab Your Face and go, hey, you want to make a song together? But Caustic can. So I'm jealous of him for that. But because he works with so many different people, the songs have a great variety to them. And he does a lot of very smart and very sort of risky things. He has an album out made many years ago called And You Will Know Me by the Trail of Vomit. And it's a very funny title. And it's a bunch of songs about being a drunken asshole. And then you get to the last song and it's called My Crush. And it's basically saying, oh yeah, this is real funny. If I keep doing this, I'm going to lose my wife. I'm going to lose, my entire life. Everything is gone. And you're like, oh, holy shit. That is a bold move to make. This is an odd example. I don't have a lot of these in my life, but somebody who I was a fan of, I got to know and became a friend. But I could put on a ton of Caustic, and it's going to be very different, very clever. And I just really, and you keep thinking, wow, he's sort of peaked, and he keeps peaking and going further and further. And like I said, since he's worked with a lot of different people, there's a lot of people whose stuff I love, that would also pop up in this. All right. In the number 3 spot, it's Stevie Wonder. I love Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder has you covered from birth with like Isn't She Lovely all the way to death with A Place in the Sun. I've always hoped that as I was expiring, I could pop on headphones and hear A Place in the Sun. That is my song to exit to. And it's, I was thinking about this the other night. I was sitting at the train station, had that song on, and it just brings tears to your eyes. It's that good. Just think of the songs, okay? Superstition, Higher Ground, Living for the City, Sir Duke, My Cherie Amour. Uptight, Everything Is All Right. I was 10 years old when Higher Ground came out. Just think about that bass line being 10 years old, and you'll understand why I've never had a thought that originated from Above the Waist. It's just so funky and so wonderful. He's in the number 3 spot because there is one song we have to talk about, Ebony and Ivory, which just goes to show what a terrible, terrible person Paul McCartney is. Like, you teamed him up with like Stevie Wonder. He's gone up to the bat, knocking him out of the park. Boom, boom, boom. No grounders or anything. And then Paul was like, there's a mistake. And I'm sure there's not one of those in Caustic's or Killing Joke's catalog, but got years to maybe have something bad. But Stevie shouldn't have done that, should have known better. But I just really, really love Stevie Wonder. You put him on and you're instantly happy. And like I said, there's stuff that just stands out in like in Living for the City, where he's, because where he lives, they don't use colored people, which is for the time, that is like just mic drop. It's really, really good, really, really clever. He was way ahead of the curve with synthesizers, sampling. There's a great story about the gentleman who invented the Fairlight, who didn't follow music. He was just an engineer. And they delivered a Fairlight sampler to Stevie Wonder, and Stevie's doing this. And the technician calls and goes, I'm not sure, but I think this guy might be blind. So they're just, yeah, Stevie's just absolutely amazing. So all hail Stevie Wonder. And that's my list. Killing Joke, Caustic, Stevie Wonder. And now we shall go around.
All right. Do you want me to start?
Yes, well, yes, you will start.
So my choices for Rodney were Rose Garden Funeral Party,
Good one.
David Bowie, and Bestial Mouths.
Those are all good choices.
0 there.
Yeah. As I said, Rose Garden were supposed to play with, I think, the legendary Pink Dots or somebody like that this weekend, but they had a little trouble with a promoter. So send them some love, folks.
Okay, so I got a 0 for that.
You got a 0. So Joe's up next, I think.
I had Angel Spit, Ego Likeness, and Caustic.
Oh, it's another 5.
We got another one.
Joe, you crossed that out and you put that.
I originally had Caustic. I crossed it out and put Bestial Mouse. I crossed that out and put
That's why you got to print stuff.
And then I went back to the original.
I know printing things is a boomer thing, but it keeps you honest. Give him the 5 points.
I thought we were doing well. Never mind. I didn't know.
It doesn't matter. Give him his 5 points.
Dan, what did you predict Rodney would say?
Do I get points if I got similar answers as Joe?
What did you say there?
I got Angel Spit, Velvet Acid Price, and Ego Likeness.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
No, that is good. I would say Angel Spit, but there was a person who was a complete asshole to them once and said something and kind of tried to call you guys assholes too in the comments section. And I didn't want my friends to have to from Angel Spit to have to deal with a piece of shit in our comment section. So so I kind of stopped mentioning them, but please check out some Angel Spit. This guy was being a piece of shit saying that these guys would drink every time I say Angel Spit. And I'm like, A, they're not assholes. They wouldn't do something like that. And B, they wouldn't be coordinated assholes. They wouldn't be emailing each other going, all right, let's remember to all do it. No, that would fall apart. That would fail. So I'm just saying that's why the spit didn't make my list. So, yeah.
Okay. Next up is Joe. Tell us your 3.
All right. Let me see here. Oh, yeah. Well, my first one is it's the same as Dean's. Johann Sebastian Bach. And yeah, he has over 1,000 compositions and so many recordings. Okay. Second on my list is, you probably won't be too surprised, Bob Dylan. I know he's despised among my peers, but I still like him. And he has a breadth of recordings available to listen to. You probably take days and days, but across styles of folk, rhythm and blues. And I just find it, I could listen to it for the rest of my life probably. And the third one is the Mountain Goats. They're a group that's still together and they're still producing, and who knows how much more they will be. And I like everything they've done so far.
Okay. So I'll tell you my predictions, Joe. For Joe, I had Bob Dylan, so I will get 5 points. I had the Beatles and the Ramones.
Well, the Beatles and the Ramones are good, but I've probably listened to the Beatles already too much, and it's like I have Beatles burnout. Probably for the rest of my life, they're not gonna be one on there. And the Ramones, maybe the same thing. I loved them intensely for 25 years, and then I haven't listened to them in a while. But
Rodney, what were your predictions?
Well, I was going to say, I was surprised to find out you and Joe were that much into the band Skid Row. Sebastian Bach is indeed quite the entertainer. All right, so here are my predictions, and I've given myself some wiggle room here. Bob Dylan, so I scored on that, the Beatles, and then I have indie pop band comprised of 40-year-olds who have yet to experience puberty. I should at least get half credit on that one.
Should have been more specific, though.
I'll give you 5. You're on the board. You're on the board.
I got 5 on it. I should get at least 7 people.
Dan, what is your prediction for Joe's answers?
I put the Beatles, Bob Dylan, and Bach.
Oh, good answer. You get 5.
Bach
too.
was the close fourth.
That is probably the only time those 3 bands will ever appear on our list. What do you want to listen tonight, Joe? Oh, how about some nice Bob Dylan and some Beatles and some Leibach?
Bach covering the Beatles.
Yes, Leibach did cover the Beatles. Yes.
Okay, everybody's on the board. Everybody's got
Time for Dan.
9 points, and Joe has 5 more. So Joe's in the lead with 10 points. All right, Dan, let's hear your 3 artists.
All right. Well, I chose for number 1, not in order of preference, but the Kinks. I find that no matter how much I listen to their albums that I do listen to, I don't get tired of it. And there are a bunch that I have never listened to. So I would finally find the time to listen to those. Might take the rest of my life. My second choice was Mozart, Wolfgang Amadeus. And I don't know, I just really like his stuff. I thought, if somebody with such a prolific catalog, and there's so many people that have recorded it, that there'd be like no. And I did want to ask a few questions about this. Is this like this is all we hear for the rest of our life, or all anybody around us would hear?
No, it would be your personal soundtrack.
So we would be deaf to any other sound.
You don't have to get so literal.
Well, I know I don't.
We could probably hear our own music, what we create, because how could we not?
Well, that's a good segue into my third choice, which was the Dead Milkmen. So I can justify being in the band still, because, if that was only 3 bands that were left on Earth, then we would all still be a band. That's. My backup was the Minutemen, just because they're, even though they have a small catalog, it's amazing. So.
Okay. All right. Well, here's my predictions for you, Dan. I don't think I scored any points. I had Shadowy Men on a Shadowy Planet, the Monochrome Set, and Mr. Bungle.
I'm going to give 5 points because I had Mr. Bungle, the Dead Milkmen. I guess that one. How did you guys not get that one? And then I had Man Screaming into a Trombone marketed as jazz. Just kind of holding out on that one.
Yeah, you know one of
Does
them?
the biggest one count for that? Yeah. So that's. I know. I'm with you, man. As soon as the new Mozart album comes out, I went down to the store.
Joe and Rodney are in the lead. We're tied with 10 points.
I got the Kinks
Hey.
and Ashton Man, and then I guessed Beethoven and crossed out and decided Sun Ra.
Oh, it looks like it says Shura.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I had this as a free space, which was shameless plug for solo project. Nobody did it.
Right.
Thank God.
So thanks everybody for playing our game tonight. And the final results of the game were Joe won tonight with 15 points. Rodney comes in second with 10, and Dan and I pull up third place with 5 points each.
I still think Joe cheated. He crossed it out.
Yeah.
Now all I'll be able to hear for the rest of my life is the Newlywed Game music going in my head.
Yes.
See, it's Caustic.
I know, but what?
Then I put it back.
How do I know you didn't write that?
Yeah, I know. That's why I was saying.
Well, it was before the show started. I didn't write anything during the show.
He's an honest man. Okay, let's move
We
on
don't
to
see what his hands are
recommendations.
doing right now. So.
Thanks for
I thought
playing.
that we would do it the other way around, and
Oh,
Oh, interesting.
we would guess, and then we would reveal our answers and compare it that way. That's
Doing a
why.
nice job
That's
on
not the way the
part.
Newlywed Game works.
That's not the way anything works. That's not how anything like works.
All right, let's go on to recommendations. I'm going to start with recommendations. I may have recommended this fellow before, but I'm going to do it again. It's a YouTube channel. It's T Wood FRD. It's for Ted Woodford, who's a guitar maker and repairer. a guitar repair person based in Canada, and he has got a YouTube channel. He usually releases a video, I think every Sunday, I think. And he's just got a very calm manner, and he does some amazing work on fixing guitars. He'll pull the neck off an acoustic guitar like you wouldn't believe. So you got to watch him do it and put it back together, and it sounds beautiful. So we'll provide a link to his YouTube channel, and you can go to also woodfordinstruments.com. I believe in the past he's actually made some guitars and lutes and things. I'm not sure how much of that he does anymore. He might spend most of his time doing repair work now. Anyway, that's my recommendation for the week. Rodney?
Okay. A recent article in the New York Times of London said, "Fuck you, Paul McCartney, for making Stevie Wonder appear low in that list. He would have been like number 1 or number 2. Okay, it's time for for bands that you won't see on the radio or hear on TV. This week, I'm recommending a band from Philadelphia. Like last week, I recommended a band from Philadelphia. This band is from the Vancouver, Canada section of Philadelphia. Hey, folks, if Dr. Oz can be from Pennsylvania, all right. This is a band called Actors. You could classify them as post-punk or dark wave. Oftentimes I'll be talking to somebody, you should check this band out, they're post-punk. And I'm like, but are they? Well, these guys actually are. Jason from Actors kind of independently came into all that. He was just making music that he liked, and somebody went, hey, this is post-punk and dark wave. Really, really good band. I think this is a band that's very accessible to a lot of you people watching this. And also, he was talking about that whole sort of like post-punk thing and saying if he's in a club and a band sounds like Joy Division, he leaves. And I am with you on that. They will be playing now. They will be playing Cold Waves with Cold Cave. Don't get confused. Okay, they're playing Cold Waves. Cold Cave is headlining tomorrow night at Cold Waves. Now that's the 16th, which is Friday night. So when you people see this, if you watch this on Saturday, you missed it. Cold Cave, and by the way, fun fact, Wesley from Cold Cave, his very first show was the Dead Milkmen. So they will be playing that, and Leathers and Kite are also on the list. I was going to be seeing Kite tonight up at the Underground Arts, but doing this and couldn't make it to that. So that is my recommendation for you. The band is called Actors. I would suggest that you start with the albums It Will Come to You and Acts of Worship. Those are great starting points for that band. All right, and then I get to, since it's a music thing, I only get 2 of these. Tonight's topic was music. The second is I'm recommending a podcast called The Sunshine Place. And this podcast is scary as shit, folks. It's about a Synanon, which started out as a treatment program for drug addicts and alcoholics. Then it became a religion. Then it became a cult. And then it became a violent cult. And they step through each step in each episode. And it is, or, violent cults or brave patriots. On this show, sometimes we can't tell. But they become really violent, and it gets really scary. I mean, to the point where they're putting rattlesnakes in people's mailboxes. So yeah, if you're up for a wild ride, they're pretty far into it, so you can listen to them a bunch at a time instead of waiting week for week. But yeah, I do recommend The Sunshine Place.
Thank you.
I recommend 2 videos on YouTube. One is funny and the other's not so funny. The not so funny one is called The Hidden Life of Fred Gwynne. He's probably most famous as Herman Munster, but it's like a little documentary on the Cool Classics channel of YouTube. And it gives you a whole new dimension to Fred Gwynne's life. Did you know that he was a prolific children's book author? And he wrote the stories and also illustrated the books. He was also a very talented artist and a writer, in addition to being an actor. And the funny one is a video that my boyfriend just showed me yesterday, and I couldn't stop laughing. And it's John D. Domenico's portrayal of Donald Trump. He's famous for portraying Donald Trump, in case you don't know. And actually, he has a Philadelphia connection. He's from Ambler, and he got his start in Philly in the late 1980s. But the video is called Trump, I Was Secretly Knighted by Queen Elizabeth. Give it a watch. It's hilarious. And he has lots of other Trump.
I gotta
videos on
see
it-
that.
on his channel, but I would start with that one because it's relevant to now. And yeah, just check it out.
Cool.
Okay.
Dan?
I would recommend drink lots of water. You know, it's really important to your existence. And
I got nothing.
I drink Tang. Because Steve Austin, the astronaut, went to the moon looking for some Tang.
and do something about that post-nasal drip. Damn it. That's what I recommend to myself.
Hey, Joe, if you see the Pet Cemetery documentary about the making of the movie Pet Cemetery, no, if you see it, it's a bunch of people are talking just how great Fred Gwynne was. Fred Gwynne happened to live near where they were filming, and he would have everybody over his house, and it's just people just talking about what a great guy he was. So yeah, he's super awesome. And as a guy,
Gates of Heaven by Errol Morris about the Pet Cemetery.
yes, the Pet Cemetery. No, that's not that. Not that. That's this is the movie Pet Cemetery. Yeah. And there's a terrible remake of it that they did in like 2007 that should be avoided at all costs. No, this is the movie with, I think, Denise Crosby's in it and Fred Gwynne, and it's actually pretty good. It's pretty fun, except Stephen King appears in it in a cameo role, and that takes you out of the movie. I hate when that happens. But quick thing, Joe, I once saw, this is the tie-in to Fred Gwynne and the Munsters. I once saw a guy come out on TV in like the 80s to Grandpa Munster. It was a great, Grandpa Munster was on, I think that wasn't people were talking, it was like 9 Broadcast Plaza, and Grandpa Munster was like, well, they had this, like a bunch of contestants, he's like, what do you think of her? And the guy goes, not much, I'm gay. And then he goes, I never told anybody before. And Grandpa Munster was really supportive. He's like, well, good for you. He's got his arm around, like, good for you, buddy. And it was just like really surprising. And the guy's like, I guess, so people, if you have to come out, go find Grandpa Munster. I don't know if he's still alive or not. Don't find the new Grandpa Munster from the Rob Zombie thing. He's probably not that sensitive. But yeah, you probably missed your chance, folks, to come out to Grandpa Al Lewis, Grandpa Munster.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
See
The
you
next
next
show is way confusing.